I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Well, after meandering around for what seemed like forever over the upper Midwest and the northern plains and the Great Lakes area earlier this week, evidently our frontal boundary decided to shift up a couple of gears this morning, starting to speed off to the south and east. As such, we saw a nice line of thunderstorms rip through northern Illinois into central Illinois into northwest Indiana. Now, the frontal boundary itself still is lagging that initial line of thunderstorms just a little bit, but the results are the same. There is precipitation moving faster into this central and eastern Corn Belt area, and that can be good or it could be bad. For those of you that are living for the weekend, it's probably good news because it means the precipitation should be done a little bit sooner. We might see this action clear most of Indiana and even west central parts of Ohio by overnight tonight. You might be able to squeeze out a completely dry weekend everywhere this weekend. However, in terms of precipitation totals and the potential for stronger weather, it may not be a good thing. We had been looking for the central and eastern part of the Corn Belt to see most of its action from late this afternoon through the nighttime hours tonight, which was meaning that most of it was going to be coming when we weren't seeing the heating of the day. There's still substantial warm air ahead of this front, and if it interacts with the front itself, I think now this sets us up for maybe a better chance for strong to heavy thunderstorm action over places like central Illinois, central, southern Indiana, maybe on even through most of the state of Ohio here this afternoon. So that's something to watch for. Now, there are some that are saying, great, bring it. I could use some rain. Right now, I'm going to leave my rainfall totals alone. 1/4 to 1 inch is what I'm going to use for my thoughts the rest of today through tonight and into early tomorrow. I will grant you, though, that if we do see a line of strong thunderstorms fire off here because of some heating this afternoon, there will be some areas that go over that 1 inch mark fairly quick. Now, that's a lot of talk about this an imminent part of the forecast or what's going on afterwards. Well, honestly, I'm not seeing much. Behind this front, we've got high pressure coming in with cooler air. Temperatures are going to be back down below normal probably for the weekend. Not quite to the level of what we saw, a week to week and a half ago, but still cooler than normal. And then we're going to spend most of next week right around normal. That initial push of cool air moderates a little bit, and I actually see very seasonable, high pressure, beautiful temperatures sitting over most of the Corn Belt. I also see no precipitation for at least the next week, maybe even week and a half. We see some moisture trying to sneak up through portions of the northern plains with a system probably as we go through let's say the end of next week, Friday into Saturday. We'll see some action South Dakota, North Dakota, but then it lifts up into Ontario. And then we see another low coming out of Wyoming and Montana around the 27th. Could put down some very heavy rains in Montana and into parts of North Dakota, but not much else in the Corn Belt. That does lift up into Ontario. But what we are seeing there as we go through the 28th with that secondary system, yes, the low hits Ontario and Quebec, but then we see another low back near Duluth, and another low down in southeast Colorado, southwest Kansas, and another one all the way down in southern New Mexico. I draw the line and connect those, and that tells me that probably there, right as we head toward the turn of the month, we're going to be seeing another long, stretched out, slow-moving front that sags south and east across the Corn Belt, following a nice high. It sound familiar? It should. It's the exact same setup that we saw here for this week. So I think that we are looking at some decent precipitation that will try and develop somewhere in there around the turn of the month or shortly thereafter. At this point, though, we're going to have to see something, some kind of moisture flow to enter into that front and give precipitation, because right now the front itself looks dry. All the action is up in Canada. So we're going to have to open up the Gulf somehow, get some moisture to inject in, and that will be the catalyst. I think it's there. I think we'll see some moisture around the turn of the month, but it may be short-lived. Another strong high comes in behind. I'm seeing a very active pattern right now up in the Gulf of Alaska, hitting the western coast of British Columbia. That tells me that we do have some moisture up there that's just itching to get going, itching to catch a wave down in here. But so far, the jet stream just not right to move that inland and do anything more than just hammer the western coast of Canada, and of course everything over Alaska. That's the way things are stacking up here in the short term. The extended term, we're showing temperatures fairly close to normal as we go into the first part of October, and even precipitation at this point doesn't look overly spectacular. We'll say normal. No real threat of an early frost at this point. I will say that every time we get one of these strong highs to come in, though, it increases our chances for at least a spike down of cool air. I don't think we see that happening, of course, this week coming up. But as I look back upstream, a high that comes in around maybe the 7th or 8th of October looks interesting. Then again, around the 16th is normal first frost date for places like central Illinois. So I guess if we did see a nice little spike down of cool air there around the 6th or 7th, especially over the upper Midwest, you'd have to look at it and go, who cares? But that's kind of where we're at. International weather, still not seeing any major rains coming to some of these South American soybean planting areas up in Mato Grosso. Looks like the rains still want to hold a bit farther south into Rio Grande do Sul. Even Paraná getting missed. This is more a Santa Catarina kind of event, and trying to get some action there. So we'll see as we go forward. Right now we're waiting on a rain to get some beans planted down there. I don't see anything coming here in the short haul. Argentina looks mostly dry as well. That's the way your forecast is stacking up. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.